يا اهلا وسهلا. لا العربي اهو، دي العربي اللي فيها
محتلة
فيها خياط
من قبل الشيوخ.
المفروض انا عندي 10
مش عارف فعلا بيقول لي ادخل القناة ولا تخرج. ايش معنى؟
كيف يعني؟
يمكن عايز الفريق هذا يبقى يحضر حفل الافتتاح. ما قالكش نفس الكلام؟
لا انا ما شفتوش اصلا.
ايوه شتت الكشفات
والله ما انا عارف
ولا تابع للحد
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Yahya. Good morning to you. Hello, hello. Original relay. Hello, good morning. This is the English booth 123. English booth 123. Can you hear me now? Hello, 123. Can you hear me? Hello, Viva l'Algérie 123. Good morning to you. Good morning to you all. Hello, Mr. Khayati. Hello to all our colleagues from the OIC. It's a great pleasure to meet you once again, especially for those who are coming from such a long distance from Europe. Good morning to you all. Hello again, good morning to you. This is the English booth. 1, 2, 3. This is the English booth testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Is it alright? Can you hear me well? English booth testing 1, 2, 3. English booth testing, testing, testing 1, 2, 3.
This is the closest you can get.
Hello. So 1, 2, 3. Testing again. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now? Is it alright? Okay? No. Hello. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now? Volume is on the left side. There is the volume button.
Yeah, but
It's not working. I would like to call on the honorable ladies and gentlemen to please try and take their seats in preparation for the start of our meeting.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحين البداية إن شاء الله تعالى. نسأل الله التوفيق والسداد دعواتكم. هذا هو هنا. إيه.
الشاشات اللي برا اللي على المدخل اللي فيه رعاية طافية ما تشتغل خربانة. في شاشة هناك تشتغل تبينا نبدل بينهم.
ايه
عادي.
ابد عادي مرة. يلا يا شباب، يلا يا شباب، جهزوا يا شباب، خلاص البداية قربت يا شباب. مستعدين يا شباب؟ فهد معالي الرئيس وين يكون؟ معالي الرئيس خلنا هنا. تعال.
السلام عليكم. كيف حالك؟ بخير؟ الحمد لله. الجلسة الافتتاحية طبعا تبدأ بعد ما هو يقدم هو يقدم.
السلام عليكم. جزاك الله خير. علي يوسف الله يطول. متى قالوا؟ موعد أو لسه؟ يلا. أي فندق في الإسباب؟ أي فندق بسوي حجز كذا بعدين ناخذ أوراقين خلاص. خلاص.
चलो कोई नहीं फिर जाकर देख लांगे जो भी अंदर से
جاهز القرآن؟ إيه جاهز. إيه كل شيء إن شاء الله تدفين معنا. خلاص. بعدين كلمة معنا الرئيس هنا. إيه. بعدين عاد نعلن عن هذه قبل بعد كلمة معنا الرئيس في فيلم. بعد كلمة معنا الرئيس في فيلم. ماشي. بعدين كل شيء مرتب إن شاء الله. بإذن الله. نبدأ. نبدأ. نبدأ على طول. يلا.
जी बिल्कुल कराएंगे ठीक है
نبدأ.
उसकी अपनी बना
تفضل.
दीजिएगा ना
تفضل.
अपनी वीडियो नहीं वो तो बड़ा अच्छा आदमी है वो तो कहता है कि पाकिस्तानियों ने मुझे बड़ा सपोर्ट किया है इस काम में आप लोगों का बड़ा आपका
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, Your Highness, Mr. Mazen Ibrahim Mahmoud, Chairman of the authority in charge of combat against corruption in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Your Excellency Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Your Excellencies, the Ministers concerned with the enforcement of the anti-corruption law in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Your Excellencies and Highnesses, heads of the various regional and international organizations, honorable ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. May you have a very good morning. With the appearing sun rays of this beautiful day, and from this city of Jeddah in the province of Makkah al-Mukarramah, right on the near side of the holy sites where we have the site of Makkah al-Mukarramah as a guidance for the entire humanity, and from the site of the message of Prophet Muhammad, and in continuation of the efforts and initiatives, the qualitative initiatives of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia meant to combat corruption as a policy and under the gracious agents and patronage of King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, we now start the first ministerial conference of the authorities in charge of the implementation of the law enforcement in anti-corruption law enforcement for the adoption of the declaration on anti-corruption, and we will start with a few verses from the Holy Quran.
صدق الله العظيم.
God's word is right. And Your Excellencies, honorable ladies and gentlemen, now we shall give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Mazen Ibrahim Al-Kafnous, head of the authority in charge of anti-corruption action. You have the floor, sir. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, and peace and blessings be upon the noble Prophet, our Prophet Muhammad, and his kin and companions. Your Excellencies, the ministers and heads of authorities in charge of anti-corruption implementation, anti-corruption law, Your Excellencies and Highnesses, heads of delegations of regional and international organizations, honorable ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. At the outset, we'd like to first welcome you all in your home country, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to extend our due thanks to you for responding to the invitation to attend the first meeting of the authorities in charge of the implementation of anti-corruption law in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which is being held under the kind and gracious patronage of the Royal Crown Prince, Mr. Mohammed bin Abdulaziz. I wish also to extend due thanks to His Excellency the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and for the OIC General Secretariat for the commendable efforts put in for the implementation of this first ministerial meeting as an implementation of the stipulation of the OIC summit recommendation. Due thanks are also extended to the senior officials for their action in preparation for the formulation of the Mecca Convention for the implementation of anti-corruption law. This meeting and the Convention of Mecca al-Mukarramah go back to the agreement of the ministerial meeting of the OIC that was held in Islamabad in the month of March last, that welcomed the initiative of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as chair of the 14th Islamic Summit to convene this ministerial meeting. The draft agreement agreed laws for the establishment of a group, intergovernmental group, to prepare this text. Your Excellencies and Highnesses, the adoption of the Mecca al-Mukarramah Convention sets a new stage for a new phase of cooperation in the service of joint interest and for the achievement of greater progress and prosperity in the regional and international organizations, and puts the first steps for the cooperation of the OIC member states as the second largest organization after the United Nations to combat corruption, with the commitment of the member states to corruption amongst them, with the view to reveal such corruptions and penalize them. And in conclusion of my statement, I would like to reiterate the particular interest which the government of my country, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and under the patronage of the Royal Crown Prince, in action against corruption at both the regional and international levels, as anti-corruption action is one of the key actions of in the programs of the Kingdom's 2030 vision. We wish to look forward to great consolidation of actions among the OIC member states, such as to aspire to execute and achieve our aspirations. Wassalamu alaikum.
منظمة التعاون الإسلامي الصوت الجامع
The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, this voice of the OIC member states. This is the second largest world organization after the United Nations that brings together the states of the Islamic world with the main goal of consolidating actions and cooperation between these states. both politically, economically, and in all other fields. Since its establishment, the organization and its member states put in great efforts for the achievement of its goals. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, being aware and conscious of the responsibility and under the patronage of the Crown Prince, His Excellency, Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the Kingdom is hosting the first ministerial conference of the authorities in charge of the implementation of anti-corruption law in the OIC member states for the adoption of the Makkah Convention under the leadership of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in a consistent action and combat against corruption through close international cooperation. This is one further initiative amongst others, including the Riyadh Agreement for the support of anti-corruption law, with the convening of the first meeting of the authorities in charge of anti-corruption law as chaired by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 2020. There is also the initiative of a ministerial meeting of the Gulf states in the year 2022. Today, the Kingdom is reiterating, together with the OIC member states, their commitment to combating corruption across borders through cooperation among the OIC member states in the area of anti-corruption law. And the Kingdom, in partnership with the OIC member states, look forward to greater steps and sustainable commitment for the anti-corruption action. We are committed to combating corruption across the world. The Kingdom invites the entire world to commit and join this action in the face of the challenges and to protect our states against corruption for the achievement of sustainable progress and prosperity. Your Excellencies and Highnesses, Honorable ladies and gentlemen, we now shall declare the composition of the Bureau of the Ministerial Council in its present session, in addition to the membership of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the host country, as follows. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Chair of the present meeting, along with the State of Palestine, the Republic of Yemen, the Republic of Cameroon as Vice Chairman, and the Republic of Niger as Rapporteur. Now we should like to listen to His Excellency Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The floor is yours, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellencies, the Ministers, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors, Honorable ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed for me a great pleasure to welcome this meeting being held today for the first time in Jeddah at the ministerial level to discuss and approve the Convention of Makkah al-Mukarramah among the OIC member states on cooperation in the field of implementation of anti-corruption law, a document that has been debated by the senior officials at their preparatory meeting held from 5 to 7 December 2022 at the headquarters of the General Secretariat. As you all know, This convention takes place in implementation of resolution number 948 LO of the Council of Foreign Ministers on strengthening cooperation among the OIC member states in the field of the fight against corruption. As a reminder, the said resolution, which invited the General Secretary to elaborate a draft convention on the fight against corruption within the framework of the OIC, has also called for the implementation and establishment of intergovernmental group of experts to examine the said draft convention before its submission to the first ministerial meeting for approval in preparation for its presentation for adoption at the 49th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers to be held in 2023 in Nouakchott, Republic of Mauritania. Similar to other international organizations such as the United Nations that have concluded international conventions on the fight against corruption, the OIC, guided by the principles and objectives as stipulated in the Charter, in particular Article 18, which provides for cooperation in the domain of the fight against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, organized crime, trafficking, money laundering, and human trafficking. Thanks to the spirit of consensus that prevailed at the level of the group of experts under the theme of a battle against corruption, the member states have reached agreement on a consensual text of a draft convention that is submitted today to your August session under the patronage of Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. As a matter of fact, the adoption of this convention will enable to add a new brick to the institutional edifice of the legal system in the OIC, inasmuch as it will contribute to the strengthening of the channel of communication within the OIC framework and ensure at the same occasion the taken in charge of the exchange of information and investigation between the authorities of the OIC member states. It will allow, on the other hand, the extension of the action against corruption and to limit its nefarious impact on the Islamic societies. This is a phenomenon that drains the economies of the member states and impedes the efforts of sustainable development. As you all know, corruption today has become a question to which the member states accord particular attention in view of its grave consequences on our economies. It contributes also to the wasting of national resources and threatens the future of our generations. The OIC, being aware of the dangers of corruption and the multiplicity of its manifestations in a turbulent world that is under multiple threats, the OIC wishes to support all efforts for peace and progress through the convention presented to you to provide a legal framework to respond to the needs of Islamic action in this field. The OIC will make sure to fulfill its international responsibilities through cooperation in the field of penal justice. This convention constitutes the most appropriate framework to prevent and fight against corruption through an efficient organism that will be in charge of implementation of the law through international cooperation. This will favor undoubtedly a culture of integrity, transparency, responsibility, and good governance as one of the main objectives as stipulated in the Charter of the organization. Moreover, these are well-established principles in the Sharia and international law. The member states have an absolute and imperative need of such a system to strengthen the principles of transparency, to perpetuate the foundations of good governance as established by the international bodies, to include it in the international statutes such to respond to the aspirations of the world at large. We at the OSCE are fully aware of the amplitude of the task achieved by the experts during the first and second meetings to achieve a final formulation achieved and approved by the member states. In this perspective, we launch an appeal to all the member states to commit to the fight against corruption and ratify the Makkah al-Mukarramah Convention of the OIC member states so as to better cooperate in the field of the implementation of the law and the fight against this affliction in conformity with the legal systems and in conformity with the aspirations of the member states in this field. It is my great hope is that this meeting will approve the draft convention already approved by the senior officials so that it may be presented to the foreign ministers for approval at its 49th session due to be held in Nouakchott in the coming year. As a conclusion, I would like to express my due thanks and gratitude to the custodian of the two mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and to His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince and Prime Minister, for the warm welcome by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, our present meeting, and for the generous support that they extend to the organization and cooperation. I wish you full success in your deliberations. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. Now I'll give the floor to Mrs. Ghada Wali, the Executive Director of the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. You have the floor, Madam. Excellency Nazim Ibrahim Makhnous, head of the Anti-Corruption Authority in Saudi Arabia, Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of the OIC, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, good morning to all of you. I'm very pleased to be with you in this first ministerial meeting of anti-corruption law enforcement agencies in the member states of the OIC. First, I would like to hail the efforts made by the OIC to organize this meeting, which represents a major step to consolidate the international framework, and I thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Nazaha for hosting this important meeting at a time that is critical regionally and internationally after 4 years of unprecedented changes. This is a major challenge in our societies as we see increased armed conflicts and economic crisis and difficult living conditions. In addition to the climate crisis that threatens our futures, corruption on resources is increasing. This shows the challenges ahead. Corruption costs tremendous amounts of money. It impedes the capacity of states to provide public services. For example, the estimates of UNDP that corruption makes us lose 10% of international projects. This represents $1.3 billion annually. And this has an impact on the aid received by countries around the world. Corruption is increasing in the public and private sectors alike. In various sectors, it affects commerce, industry, and sports. Corruption reduces resources. It leads to decisions that aimed at personal interest at the expense of public interest. Corruption promotes criminal activities, and it leads to money laundering, organized crime, and terrorism, in addition to activities against the climate. Corruption is one of the major obstacles to achieve the objectives of Sustainable Development Goals. And we believe that this is a priority for the world and the member states of the OIC. The estimates for this year shows that the OIC member states have not been able to make significant progress to achieve sustainable development by the year 2030. Therefore, there is need to consolidate the efforts of member states in order to combat corruption in all sectors. We also need to promote effective organizations that are able to enforce the law and to achieve international cooperation in order to stop the illegal flows of resources. We need to work together towards achieving this objective, and there is also the need for the Convention on Anti-Corruption law, and this will promote the action at the international level to combat corruption. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Mecca Convention.
Integrity is most needed. It also comes at a moment of opportunity for global anti-corruption action. Next year, we will mark 20 years of the UN Convention Against Corruption, the UNCAC, at the 10th session of the Conference of State Parties in the United States of America next December. It will come at the culmination of landmark strides recently taken in the global fight against corruption. In June of 2021, the UN General Assembly held its first ever special session on corruption, which adopted a forward-looking political declaration. Prior to the session, the UN system adopted its first common position on corruption to ensure stronger and more coordinated support to member states. In December of the same year, the 9th session of the Conference of State Parties to the UNCAC adopted the Sharm el-Sheikh Declaration on combating corruption in time of crises. Throughout 2022, we have worked to follow up on those commitments by enhancing partnerships, developing guidance, and building capacities. Only a week ago in Cairo, anti-corruption practitioners met with a diverse range of experts to develop guidelines on addressing corruption in emergency recovery and response. And as we enter 2023, the 20th anniversary of UNCAC is a chance to reflect on the convention and how we can enhance its impact to meet the challenges of today. The UNCAC remains the sole comprehensive legally binding international framework against corruption. It enjoys near universal membership and has proved crucial in developing the capacities and legislation of countries around the world. Nevertheless, in our work as guardians of the UNCAC, the UN Office on Drugs and Crime has noted that significant gaps remain in its implementation, particularly when it comes to international cooperation and asset recovery. The Mecca Convention can be an immensely valuable platform in addressing these gaps and supporting the implementation of UNCAC. The UNCAC encourages additional multilateral arrangements for stronger law enforcement cooperation, and the draft text of the Mecca Convention is fully in line with its provisions. By providing for stronger information sharing and more effective legal assistance, it can help end impunity for corruption in OIC countries. UNODC has proudly supported the process of elaborating the Mecca Convention, providing legal and technical advice. Today, we stand ready to support its effective implementation. Globally, UNODC provides technical assistance to over 140 countries on anti-corruption. Through our capacity-building technical meetings and the UNCAC review mechanism, we engage with all of the OIC member states on anti-corruption issues. One particular tool that can help put the Mecca Convention into action is the Globe e-Network for Anti-Corruption Law Enforcement Practitioners, to which UNODC is the Secretariat. Established last year under the Riyadh Initiative, to date the Globe e-network brings together 130 anti-corruption law enforcement authorities from 70 countries, including 42 law enforcement authorities from 24 OIC member states and 3 observers, and is supported by key partners such as Interpol and the Egmont Group. I encourage all of the law enforcement authorities represented here today to engage with Globe E and make use of its mechanisms to advance cooperation on concrete cases and benefit from the tools, the networking, and the capacity building opportunities availed by Globe E. Together with law enforcement, we need all relevant actors working in coordination against corruption. Supreme audit institutions have an essential oversight role. Through the Abu Dhabi Declaration Program, UNODC has developed a guide on collaboration between Supreme audit institutions and anti-corruption bodies. The judiciary is the foremost guardian of justice. The Global Judicial Integrity Network, which our office supports, brings together judges from across the world to promote integrity and prevent corruption in the judiciary. Parliaments lay the legislative foundation for anti-corruption efforts. We support parliamentarians to fulfill their central role in implementing the UNCAC. And beyond authorities, all members of society have a role to play in promoting integrity and the rule of law. From educators to community and religious leaders, from sports figures to journalists, and of course the private sector and civil society. Young people in particular have the energy, optimism, and imagination to make a difference. OIC countries are privileged to be home to more than 350 million people between the ages of 15 and 24, some 29% of the world's total youth population, and you must leverage their potential in the fight against corruption. And at the earliest stages, children must learn about the basic principles of integrity and the rule of law in their schools, as they are destined to shape the future. Through UNODC's GRACE initiative, we seek to empower young people in the fight against corruption, amplify their voices, and promote integrity and the rule of law at all levels of education. Women are also a powerful force in breaking up long-standing networks of collusion and improving justice outcomes for everyone, and we have evidence supporting that. UNODC is supporting greater representation of women across the justice sector, including through our Women in Justice for Justice initiative, and we will continue working with you to strengthen the role of women as agents of change against corruption. Excellences, alors que nous nous dirigeons vers le sommet de l'avenir qui se tiendra en 2023, le secrétaire général des Nations Unies, Antonio Guterres, a identifié la lutte contre la corruption comme étant un élément clé de la vision des Nations Unies pour accélérer la mise en œuvre du programme 2030 pour le développement durable. Nous sommes prêts à travailler avec vous et à traduire votre engagement en un impact réel contre la corruption afin d'établir la confiance, mettre fin à l'impunité et parvenir à la justice. أصحاب المعالي والسعادة السيدات.
Your Excellencies, honorable ladies and gentlemen, over the decades and centuries, the Islamic culture has been a culture that rejects corruption. And today, your organization, with its 57 member states, are brought together with this Islamic culture, with a joint vision and a future for the implementation of anti-corruption law. The Holy Quran has stated the word corruption 50 times, warning against the corrupt, and Allah Almighty said, as we started our mission with a verse from the Holy Quran,
آتاك الله الدار الآخرة ولا تنس نصيبك من الدنيا وأحسن كما أحسن الله إليك ولا تبغى الفساد في الأرض إن الله لا يحب المفسدين. صدق الله العظيم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكرا معالي السيد.
Thank you, Honorable Lady Khadawali. Now we'll give the floor to His Excellency Jürgen Stock, the Executive Director of the International Organization of the Interpol. You have the floor, sir.
Your Excellency Mazen Al-Kahmous, President of the Control and Anti-Corruption Authority of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Your Excellency Secretary General of OIC, Hussein Brahim Taha, Honorable Ministers and Prosecutors General of OIC, distinguished heads of international organizations and Interpol partners, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, bonjour, assalamu alaikum. I am grateful for the opportunity to participate in this first ministerial meeting for anti-corruption law enforcement authorities of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. I would like to thank nazaha, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for hosting this important event. It is a great pleasure to be here with you in the magnificent city of Jeddah. Interpol works with many of the international and regional organizations here present on combating corruption. I'm especially proud of our Global Focal Points network, which exists to serve our 195 member countries to recover criminal assets across the world, many of whom are also represented by esteemed delegations here today. We have worked particularly closely with Saudi Arabia on anti-corruption initiatives, including under its G20 presidency in 2020, and would like to praise their leadership in this field, not only nationally and regionally, but also globally. Such a global role is also evident in Saudi Arabia's offer to host an Interpol regional bureau for the Middle East and North Africa in Riyadh. We look forward to being able to open it in the very near future and to the future successful coordination activities of this office, including in the domain of anti-corruption and financial crime activities. I look forward to listening and learning more about your respective efforts to tackle this criminal scourge, which plays havoc with our economies and societies. The fight against corruption revolves around three key elements: the individuals betraying the trust of their citizens, whom we must identify and bring to justice; the jurisdictions touched by their movements, criminal action, and financial transaction, often unaware of each other's role; and the assets being hidden across those borders, stolen from the public good. As I speak, information is being exchanged securely by your agencies via Interpol channels to address all these dimensions. It is being analyzed for clues. It is being accessed by financial intelligence units. It is being put to action in flagging and arresting the corrupt. And it is intercepting funds sent abroad to be laundered. Yet, we can do more. We must do more. There are almost 1,500 suspects of corruption wanted internationally via Interpol. Many more are still to be detected and flagged. And the international community has only recovered a small amount of global criminal assets out there. Therefore, I urge you to let Interpol assist your law enforcement authorities in exchanging even more personal information and investigative data globally and securely. Capacity and the strong legal framework that are already serving thousands of criminal cases worldwide. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a successful and productive conference. Thank you. Merci. Shukran.
شكرا لسعادة
Unified unit of follow-up
would like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for its earnest efforts to fight corruption. Nazaha in particular, Mr. Nazim bin Ibrahim Al-Khamis, President of Nazaha, FIU Saudi Arabia, General Al-Mohammed. It is my honor to participate in this conference, and I thank you for including the Egmont Group of Financial Intelligence Units in this important event. The fight against corruption is a fight against financial crime. Hence, it is fundamental that we be appropriately equipped to fight this fight against financial crime. And to fight this fight right, we need to follow the money whenever it may lead. This fight belongs to all of us, from government, civil society, labor, business, churches, NGOs, and the private sector. It requires effective collaboration from all players in the value chain, as we are only as strong as our weakest link. To be fully equipped in our fight means we need skills, and the right skills. And those right skills include financial investigators, analysts, forensic accountants, data technicians, and lawyers. Imperative to these skills is the financial intelligence units that have access to critical financial information that needs to be used by law enforcement agencies. It is therefore critical that financial intelligence units be sufficiently resourced with the necessary digital tools and skills that I've mentioned to be able to extract relevant information that can add value in investigating financial crimes such as corruption. Investigators, prosecutors, and all anti-corruption fighters need to be capacitated to investigate and prosecute grand, large-scale corruption and ultimately recover the proceeds of corruption. Certainly, we are not recovering as many assets as we ought to. We therefore need to also focus our efforts on increasing asset recoveries. Such capacitation is strengthened by giving corruption fighters, including financial intelligence units, the autonomy and the independence that they need to fight this fight right and without fear, favor, and prejudice. As crime knows no borders, it is critical in sessions such as this one that we meet new friends with the aim of reaching a level where we are able to make a call and say, let us do joint analysis in this matter because it involves both our jurisdictions. Let's do parallel investigations and let's fight this fight from all angles. Fighting corruption is not a solo task. We need collaboration and collective efforts, skills and knowledge, experience and expertise. But we also need the right support. This is where government, in particular our ministers, play a massive role. Ministers have the power to ensure that we have the dedicated resources tools and autonomy to ensure that we fight the good fight right. It is therefore my plea that ministers be our advocates and fight for us to be sufficiently capacitated and allowed to do our job without fear, favor, and prejudice, whilst we are held to account to deliver to our mandate. The Egmont Group covers 166 countries, and if your country is not one of them, I'm going to plead with you today to encourage your country to do so. I thank you.
شكرا لسعادة رئيس.
Thank you for the chair of Egmont. Now, the statement of Dr. Mohammed Abdelmajid Al-Banayan, the rector of Naif Arab University for Security Sciences.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the Lord of Mercy, the Giver of Mercy, Mr. Mazin bin Ibrahim Al-Qamus, the head of Oversight and Anti-Corruption Authority, Your Excellency Hussein Ibrahim Daha, the OIC Secretary General, Your Excellencies, dear attendees, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my pleasure at the outset of my statement to express my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to His Excellency Mazin bin Ibrahim Al-Qamus, the Chair of the Oversight and Anti-Corruption Authority in Saudi Arabia, and to His Excellency Hussein Ibrahim Taha, the OIC Secretary General, for the kind invitation and the excellent arrangement for this important first ministerial meeting under the patronage of His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Hamad Al-Aziz, Crown Prince and Prime Minister. And I highly appreciate the excellent role of Oversight and Anti-Corruption Authority in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in improving integrity and anti-corruption, not only at the national level but also at the international level through its important initiatives such as Riyadh International Initiatives and Makkah Al-Mukarramah Agreement to be addressed and approved in this meeting in order to improve exchange of information and cooperation among member states for an effective addressing of this transnational crime. Anti-corruption relates to social and national security. Therefore, the spread of corruption is a main cause for the destabilization of countries. Therefore, no country can improve its improvement and development without having national and international legislation that enable these entities to undertake their assigned tasks. The envisaged international cooperation through more effective information exchange and closure of safe havens and the refunding of the public funds cannot be achieved without concerted effort through cooperation among all stakeholders, including the academic sector, which can provide an effective role in improving these efforts through capacity building and conducting studies that support taking decisions and developing appropriate policies for effective addressing of corruption in all its manifestations. Our university and as the academic apparatus of the Arab Council of Ministers of Interior has issued a master's degree in financial integrity that enables the preparation of experts in this field, in addition to providing some specialized training programs. And we have also launched, along with the in relevant office a specific center to be an regional expert house in combating crime, including corruption and transborder crimes, through contributing to developing policies and strategies that are innovative and more effective based on evidence and address the new challenges and threats. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate my thanks to the Oversight and Anti-Corruption Authority and to the OIC, wishing your deliberations to be successful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for His Excellency, the Director of the University of Naif for Security Sciences, Your Excellencies. We have come to the end of the opening session, and I request Your Excellencies, the heads of delegations, to gather for a group photo followed by a break.